You got your trash bags at Target?
Where else should I get trash bags?
You do your grocery shopping at Target?
No. We did our grocery shopping at Whole Foods, and then we had to stop by Target.
I just feel like I would never buy trash bags at Target because it's going to be $3. This is the dad in me coming out. But
yeah.
So here, do you have Meijer? Do you have a Meijer?
No.
No Meijer. Do you have Kroger?
No.
Yeah,
I'm familiar with Kroger.
No. Mm-hmm.
But you have Wally World because everybody does.
Yeah, can't escape it.
Yeah. I don't know. I just don't know if I. So, what's your local equivalent to a Kroger? I guess you have like a Minnesotan Kroger of some kind.
Cub Foods is ours.
Oh, wow, that is so Minnesota. Yeah, it's Bear store.
It's actually it's owned a larger chain. By the parent company Super Value. You know, they have Albertsons is under the Super Value banner, if you've heard of Albertsons.
Yep.
Couple others. I used to work at Super Value Corporate.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't want to brag, but I am bragging. But I don't want to brag.
It really makes me wonder what made you even give it up. You know what I mean?
It was a miserable job. Absolutely nightmare job. Hated almost every second of it. But yes, Cub Foods is the local joint. There's also a Hy-Vee. I think those are maybe more broadly available. But there's a Hy-Vee across the street. They're like competing brands. But we go to Whole Foods because I'm a little bougie, okay? And we get all of our produce there because it's better. But sometimes, you know, the air fryer chicken nuggets, and we needed to get some bananas, and all of them were crazy underripe at Whole Foods. So we stopped by at Target. But Target is where I pick up. I do call it Target. It is where I pick up my essentials, my trash bags, TPs, paper towels, you know, your Who's-Its and whatnots.
I mean, the thing about Target that I will always love is, first of all, you can find a Target. It's like Walmart, but higher scale, right? I mean, I would say. I think most people would say.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. But the nice thing about Target is you can walk into a Target and get... You don't even have to have an idea in your head of what you really want, but you're probably going to find it at Target. Kind of like Walmart in that way. So if I want to go video game perusing, I can do that in my Target just the same as I can go get some food, or I can go get trash bags, or I can go shop for furniture. I mean, it's nice in that way. So
true. It's the only place where I can get a muffin and some toilet paper and a copy of Triangle Strategy and a pullover hoodie all in one stop.
Heck yeah. That's freaking October too.
Well, I make it my life's goal to never step into a Wally World. I hate
it too.
I hate Wally World.
I hate it too.
Trash tier.
Well, I don't really think that we were intending. Yeah, it is trash tier. Josh, what's going on in your life?
Hanging out. I just got off work. Just chilling. We decided to... Well, this is IndieQuest, I guess. Hi, guys. It's your celebration of the indie and obscure. Yeah, you talk about those indie games. I decided to go forward with a new commission for our new artwork for the show. And I think it came out pretty cool. Got a new face on the cover there. One Captain Drachma with his boots. And us chilling by the campfire. So I think it came out really good. The artist is on Instagram. Their name is Deltari, D3LTARI. And they did the original cover art, and I think this new one is just as good, if not better. I really like how it came out. So, yeah, we just decided, hey, I was like, let's do it. And you guys were like, let's do it. So we did it, and I think it came out great. Celebrate 2 years of the show.
Yeah, it's looking really good. I don't know if there are like super fans of podcast artwork, but for any dedicated viewer of the podcast artwork before, you'll recognize a lot of the Easter eggs and things make a return. It's kind of like a seek and find or an I Spy type of deal.
It is.
The more you look at it, the more things you end up seeing. To the point where I almost don't even want to tell people what they are, because it's like, go in and take a peek at that artwork and see how many different indie games and different references you can find. There's at least like 8 or 9, right?
Yeah,
so,
something like that.
Yeah, it's looking good. It's got a real cozy vibe. I'm a big night sky fan. Love me some stargazing, so I appreciate it. I think that it matches. Our previous artwork, granted it was missing the Boots captain himself, but our previous artwork was very adventurous. It was very like, let's go, let's get it. We were like tearing through some sort of mystery forest on a log, which is good, but it's not necessarily the exact vibe of this show. I think that this show tends to be a little more, a little more laid back, a little more feet up. Honestly, the sitting around a campfire chatting with your buddies about games you liked is much closer to what we strive for here. So I think the new artwork does a good job of representing that.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. I think that I'm looking at it right now, just as we're talking here. But I feel like we can look at this, and people could, or I imagine, that we're talking about indie games like we do on the podcast. Like Steve is telling a story, roasting his marshmallow, talking about the indie game that he brought, that he felt like he had to bring a side quest game, so he brought it. You know what I mean? And we're listening. Josh is super happy about it. I'm chilling in my boots like I usually do. So, yeah, no, it's great. I love it.
It is good. You even in the artwork have the most swagger of the three of us. Like Josh and we're looking a little energetic, a little upbeat, dare I say maybe even a little doopy. But you're just leaning back like, yeah, that's right. I'm the coolest guy here, and they know it.
I'm not sure how the artist, honestly, like beyond the fact that I'm cooler than you guys, which everybody probably knows who's listening. I don't know how the artist knew, but that is like a very Captain Drachma pose going on there. Just feet kind of just dangling out there, leaning back against the log. Yeah, they really did a good job. Seriously, like super good. And I was talking to Josh a little bit about it before we started recording, but this artwork, like I love the old artwork, right? But this artwork, you can just tell that the artist has really honed their trade a little bit over the past couple of years, because this looks like excellent. The shading, and there's even like a little bit of a blur effect in the background, right? It's focusing on us. It's almost like somebody was in the bushes and took a picture, and it just, it looks great.
Yeah, I so originally when I looked for somebody to do art for a podcast, I was like, I want something that stood out, and I saw their artwork and I was like, wow, it kind of stands out. I kind of like the colors that they use. Their color choices are really cool. So I was like, why not just reach back out and see why not see if their commissions are still open? And they were, and I'm so happy that I did.
Yeah. It's good stuff. So I think it should be updated essentially everywhere, right, folks? So whatever podcatching app you have, you should see the new artwork. You can go to our Twitter and check it out at IndieQuest Pod. We have nice, big, beautiful versions of it posted up there. One of the last spots that it's not yet updated is on polymedianetwork.com, but that will be updated soon, potentially even by the time you all see this. So if you happen to find it cached somewhere, you're still seeing that old, colorful green and blue artwork, say your goodbyes now, because we're on to V2, baby.
Yeah, and I mean, like we've kept this show going for 2 years, and that's awesome. I'm really happy about that. I do think that it's in big part to you, Steve, of course, and then you, Captain, bringing your energy and being here to kind of be clutch, bringing the show back to its original energy and everything. So I think having you on the cover was something that needed to happen, and I was like, we had to do it. So I'm pretty pleased with it.
Yeah. I am extremely honored. I don't think I've ever been drawn as a cartoon me before, so it's pretty awesome.
It's pretty good. In my experience, you'll now use it as your icon everywhere on the internet for the rest of your life, Twitter, Discord, everywhere.
Too bad it's not on a cake,
Yeah.
That'd make it even better.
Still waiting for somebody to make a cake me, but I'll just keep waiting. But
we'll make it happen someday. Well, in the spirit of us all kicking around, chilling, relaxing, all cool, shooting some b-ball outside of school, we're all sitting around the campfire, just swapping stories. We figured let's bring a perfect energy type or a perfect episode type to match that energy. And that's an IQ OST. We're going to be bringing you some indie tunes. And not only are we bringing you some indie tunes, but we kind of have, and I think we all stuck to this, but let me know if you didn't, kind of like a loose fall, autumn, Halloween, spooky-ish vibe, right? Like we're somewhere between like a brisk, fall day walking through like a national park with the leaves falling. And on the far other side, like an episode of Are You Afraid of the Dark? All these songs slam somewhere in the middle of those two. And
I'd say so, yeah.
I'm pretty excited. I always like IQOST episodes. I don't know about you. I get stressed because I always have way more songs than we have like reasonable time to include them. So I'm always like, I got to pick 2 of these. Man, but am I going to bring this to the next IQOST? Maybe, but this also would be good for like a Halloween-themed episode. So I got to keep this in the pocket till 2023. It's rough. It's rough, but it means that you get a lot of bangers, you the listener.
Absolutely. Well, I guess that leads us right into it. Do you guys want me to go first, my first song?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So, as Steve mentioned, we're doing autumnal theme, but also spooky adjacent if we want to, right? So I actually brought one of each. So I will start with my spooky song. So the song I brought today is actually from, I talked about it a little bit last episode, Blasphemous, right? So Blasphemous, spooky-ish game, right? Lots of gore, lots of blood. If somebody made a movie out of Blasphemous, it would definitely be horror leaning, right? Like it's very, that's the kind of game it is, right? So it was actually made by a Spanish studio. So the same composer did all the music as far as I'm aware, Carlos Viola. And the song I'm bringing today is called Ten Piedad. All the songs are in Spanish. Ten Piedad translates directly to have mercy. So if you guys can have a little bit of an idea of what that's going to do to your ear holes right now, that should be something. But let's listen to Ten Piedad. All right, so that was 10 Piedad, and I just think that that is the kind of song, like it's very atmospheric. It's kind of just building the entire way, but it's just something that I feel like I could hear in the back of a slasher film or something as the bad guys coming or something, especially with that amazing like screaming electric guitar. Like I think that's awesome, and the drums and everything. So what do you guys think?
Has a really nice build. It's creepy. I can imagine it being a boss battle. I can imagine somebody running from a huge beast with, especially those like screaming guitars and the drums in the background. The over and over again has very marching feel to it. It definitely gives you those eerie and creepy vibes, which I loved it.
Yeah, the guitar has like a distortion on it that it makes the guitar feel like it's being like stretched out, like the guitar is a little bit in pain, which is obviously intentional. And it does that thing that a lot of good horror tracks do, and must be a common musical trick that I just as a non-musically inclined person don't know. But it seems like the scale seems to endlessly increase, despite the fact that, like, it can only get so high pitched, but something about the like steps of melody that it goes up, it's just like 4 minutes of just like constant escalating tone and anxiety, and obviously adding in a bunch more bombast and stuff behind it too. So yeah, that's good stuff. That's the type of song too where good pull, because I think normally you would play that whatever boss fight that is a part of, and that would be sort of like wrapped into the experience of the boss fight, but you might not ever think to pull it out individually as a track to listen to. And I like sharing those types of things with people. I think that that's very cool. So good pick, good song.
Hell yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, it's actually, the boss is actually like this goat head boss. So, and honestly, it was one of the first. Yeah. One of the first bosses that's like a real challenge in that game, like pretty dang tough. So, anyway, Josh, what are you bringing for your first song?
So there's this little game that came out that I've been, I would say, addicted to lately. Vampire Survivors. I talked about it a little bit on a previous episode of the show. So the game is, I would say, loosely Castlevania, like inspired. So this track is definitely gives a lot of that feel to it. The composer is Danielle Sandara, who does a specific song. It's in the second area that you unlock, which is the library zone. And so basically it's like a bullet hell game with a bunch of bad guys coming at you. You kill them with various upgrades, and this song is playing on loop in the background. Super hype and very spooky. So let's listen to Reincarnated Echoes from the Vampire Survivors soundtrack. So no, we just got a little taste of it since it's a looping song. I'm sure the audience will get a couple of loops there. It kind of ends abruptly for us, the one I put here in the doc. But what did you guys think of the energy of this and the song as it is? Imagine this just playing in loop over and over and over again, while hordes, like hundreds and hundreds of bad guys coming at you. So that's pretty much the vibe from this game in general and from the song, I think.
Yeah, very good. I mean, this is kind of like the constant touch point for this game, and as someone who hasn't played it, I don't want to fall too much into stereotypes, but like, dude, there's no denying that has the same energy as like a Castlevania soundtrack, like Aria of Sorrow or something, one of the GBA Castlevanias. 100% you could have told me that was a track from any of those games and I would have believed you. So obviously music and those are legendary. This was ridiculously catchy, very upbeat. I loved it.
Yeah, and you just stole all the words right out of my mouth, Steve. Like I was going to say, that is a GBA Castlevania song, and you cannot tell me otherwise. Like that, you just like make it a little bit prettier, right? Because a lot of the GBA game, just the soundtrack on those games isn't ever great because the system doesn't have great sound chip and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But that sounds straight out of one of those games, and I love the chiptune stuff in the background. It just sounds like a polished GBA Castlevania game, man, or song, right? So yeah, that was great. I loved it.
Yeah, it's one of those games where you're going to be spending a lot of time in a map, like 30 to 45 minutes. So the minute and a half loop, the 2-minute loop has to be like stellar, or you're going to get sick of the song, right?
Yeah.
So I think they do a really good job in this game of each area having a unique soundtrack that you don't get like tired of. You kind of get it just stuck in your head, and it's just like a good time. Like, yep, that's that song, So yeah, this specific track has been stuck in my head probably for like 2 weeks now. So because so definitely an excellent game. So yeah, cool. Steve, what is your pick for your first song here? What you got for us?
Yeah, I think as with many things in life, I'm just kind of trying to be like Drachma. So I also have one that's a little more autumny and then one that's a little spookier. But we're going to flip the script here. We're going to start with the one that's a little more autumny. And it's from a game that is not necessarily, well, it's autumny, but it's a little spooky. It's a little bit of both. It's not necessarily like the first thing you would think of when you think of a fall game, because you think of, a lot of trees and colorful leaves and stuff, but it is a very colorful game, and that's Chicory, A Colorful Tale. So there's a lot of songs on the soundtrack that I could have pulled from that have like, I would say, autumn adjacent theming, especially if you're like specifically looking for it from that perspective. But I picked a track that I think isn't one of the more popular ones off of the soundtrack, but fits our theme really well and is obviously still very good. It's called Grub Deep. For anyone that has played the game, this is an area, one of the later areas that you end up going to, that is exactly as it sounds. It's a series of subterranean caves that you're exploring, and there's a bunch of like different grubs that you end up meeting and talking to there. Kind of like a really colorful, cute version of Hollow Nest. So this is Grub Deep. This is, of course, by the infinitely talented Lena Raine off of the Chicory Colorful Tale soundtrack. Let's go. So, spooky, right? Not too spooky, but pretty spooky, right?
It's gave me two vibes. We spoke about it a little bit in the interim when we were listening there. Jumping into a cave, but a friendly cave. Yeah. A cave that's like got a big mouth, like in a cartoon, that talks to you before you get in. Oh, come over here and hang out with me. I have fun stuff in me, and I'm not lying. And then you go in and you find happy bats and things like that. Like that kind of is the vibe I got from that song. And then also about halfway through, there's kind of a transition that reminded me of being 10 years old and running down the street with my buddies when we're actually trick-or-treating or something like that, right? Like actually on Halloween night, leaves are rolling across the street lamps are lit up. Like that's the kind of vibe I really get from that song.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's kind of like understated for a bit, and then around maybe a little over the halfway point, it kind of gets a little more menacing with that bass line kicking in. The kind of grooving with a little bit of creepiness, kind of spookiness, but still really chill at the same time, which just screams Halloween. So I loved it, and it kind of paints a picture in your head as you're watching it, like, or listening to it, as like some type of like children's book style, like music in the background, which is so good.
Yeah, you could definitely see it in like a kiddie horror type of movie, right?
Yeah,
like a Nightmare Before Christmas adjacent type of deal.
Yes.
I love that track. Again, like you said, it's pretty simple. It's like understated for a good portion of it, and even in the back half when it really picks up, it's using like a similar melody, but it adds some like real complexity to the bass line underneath. It's doing some real fancy plucking and like some real dense notes and stuff, which I like. So yeah, that whole soundtrack, by the way, incredible. Not all entirely that spooky vibe. It goes in a number of different directions in terms of tone, but it's all that good. So I highly recommend that people check it out, and the game too. But
awesome.
You know what? It'd be selfish for me to go again. Why don't I throw it over to you, Drachma? I know you brought a second track for me.
I did bring a second track. So it will be, to the surprise of no one, what game I brought. So I've kind of spoken of this game a little bit, and I was pretty high on it. I'm actually bringing a track from the one and only Death's Door for my more...
So shocking.
For my more autumnal piece by the great David Fenn, who I personally think is like probably my personal favorite composer now. because this is my second IQ OST in a row that I have brought a song by David Fenn. As listeners might remember, and you guys might remember, I brought one from Titan Souls last time. And I just think I kind of talked about it when I talked about Death's Door, but I think he just like really sharpened the edges on how he puts together a soundtrack. Like, just amazing for Death's Door. So this song is called A State of the Urn Witch. Let's listen. So that was A State of the Urn Witch. And just to kind of paint a picture for both of you and everyone listening, you're basically running around as the crow. You're running around the Urn Witch's estate right outside of like her actual house. And there's just like trees that are losing their leaves, and you can actually run through leaf piles and spread the leaves all over the place. Like, it's just, I think listening to it on its own, it kind of gives you that fall vibe, but it really goes well with the gameplay. What did you guys think?
I feel like it matches like I think that fall time has like a sweet melancholy to it. Like it's kind of like a little sad in some ways, but in a good way. And I feel like this track kind of would be a perfect undercurrent for like a nice moody walk in like a like somewhat rainy day. You know, you have your hood up on your jacket, you have your earbuds in, you're just kind of enjoying the like 45 degrees, 50 degrees outside, little bit of rain, overcast, little breezy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it just fits that perfectly. I love the little like chimes and things in the background. It's so layered and just it's really well composed. So
yeah, you said to take it to the season, you say that autumn is melancholic. It is. I never thought about this like tangibly, but autumn. It's no shock to anyone that it's my favorite season. I think it's most people's favorite season if they have any sense. But autumn is my favorite season by far. And, despite being in the northern Midwest, winter is my least favorite season. So there's kind of this like bittersweetness to fall where like every day of fall that goes by, you're like one step closer to it all just being over and then being in like that long stretch. But this song has the energy of the front half of autumn, right?
Yeah.
It's still, it's still one of those days where the wind blows, it's a little chilly, but when the sun's beating on you, it's nice and warm.
Mm-hmm.
You're kind of debating whether or not you're going to leave that hoodie on, but you probably are. It's good. It had like a little pop, a little taste of like an RPG overworld theme going on for a second there, or maybe even like you could see it in some specific Miyazaki movies, Studio Ghibli movies.
Yes. No, that's for sure.
Yeah, good stuff. I'm here to confirm high quality track.
Yeah.
David Fenn just knows how to string together some woodwinds. There's a lot of musical terms, but man, whenever there's woodwinds in a David Fenn, same thing with Titan Souls, it's just like it's just that whimsical feel. It just puts you right in the mood, right? I don't know.
Yeah,
so good.
To go back to Titan Souls now, I think last time when you brought a Titan Souls track, you brought that like plucking guitar song that plays as you're like going around the overworld, right?
Yep. The grassy area.
Yeah, and that one was like such a fitting like adventure song with like a little bit of sadness in the air. So this song has a very like similar ability, I think, to even without having played the game, it puts me into a very specific place in my mind. And because I trust him as a composer after everything that I heard in Titan Souls, I'm sure that it matches up 1-to-1 perfectly.
Yes, well, both of you will have to find out sooner rather than later, and I cannot wait to hear your thoughts. But with that, Josh, what is your second song?
My second song is from a little old roguelike game called Dead Cells. It is kind of like the opening area track. It's called Prisoner's Awakening. So every time you respawn at Dead Cells, this is a song you hear. I think it has a little bit of a hopeful feel to it, and I think it kind of matches. I mean, this might be a little bit of a stretch, but you guys let me know. Let's go ahead and sit back and listen to the track. Prisoner's Awakening from Dead Cells. So yeah, I mean, Dead Cells, like, incredible game. Like, we can all agree that it's just from top to bottom, like, maybe one of the better indie games. Probably like almost like breaks out of the indie mold to like everybody knows Dead Cells. It's such a good game. The soundtrack is one of those things that stands out just as much, especially this intro track. This is just the intro track. Like, it already makes you feel like let's fucking go. Let's kick some ass in this game right now. I didn't say who the composer was. It's Johan Lalin. I probably butchered how to pronounce that, but this entire soundtrack is really great if you just want some like background music, like while you're working, like just to get you pumped. Yeah. I think Dead Cells is just a really solid soundtrack. So what do you guys think?
I love Dead Cells. That's what I think.
Same.
That song is such a banger. That game is such a banger. When I saw, like, for everybody at home listening, we didn't know what each other were bringing. So when Josh was like Dead Cells, I was like, yeah, let's do it, because I haven't listened to that soundtrack in a while, and that just nails the mood of moving into fall like we're trying to go for. So I think, yeah, it fit perfectly. I don't know. I don't know what else to say that millions of people haven't said before. Great soundtrack, great song.
Yeah, really good game overall. Hearing that, I'm feeling the guilt. I'm like, I should probably go back and beat that one at some point. It's hanging over my head. There's not a lot of games that I leave hanging like that, but that was one of them. I will say, it's kind of a sneaky track because, it's like the we were talking in the interim while we were listening to it. It's kind of the lobby music, right? This is getting you geared up for your next run as you're sitting there chilling. And it starts out, the whole track is good. The first minute or so is very good. But after about a minute, it like really kicks in hard and it gets like really hype and really like bow, 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 bow. And if I had just finished a run, maybe I die, I land back in the main area, set that controller down, turn to, get a drink of my beverage, pet my cat a little bit. I'm like, I'm done. That's enough for me. I think I'm about to turn this thing off. A minute goes by, that music kicks in like that. I'm like, you son of a bitch, I'm back in. Let's go. Let's do this thing. So
yeah,
the music is working either for or against me, depending on how you look at that, which I think is pretty impressive.
Yep. That is a testament to the composer.
Yeah.
To be able to string a very good soundtrack together for a roguelike or a roguelite to work with the gameplay and push the player on. Like, imagine, you guys have played your fair share of these types of games. Imagine if they had a bad soundtrack. That would just be like, well, I have to go through the game again, which was hard enough, and I have to listen to this garbage. Like, to have that great background music while you're going through a game that's tough is just something that has to happen in these kinds of games.
Yeah.
I'm consistently impressed at studios' abilities to find universally talented people. Like a game like Dead Cells, you're really going to have a bunch of artists that are doing an incredible job, and a bunch of composers that are doing an incredible job, and a bunch of programmers that are making the game incredible, and a bunch of designers that are making it really intelligent. Like, can you just have one weak link to make me feel a little more human? Like I belong somewhere? Come on. But no,
you belong on your couch playing Dead Cells.
That's true, yeah.
Yep.
Very true. All right. Well, I have one more track for you too. My first one was a little, we were talking is a little more kind of poppy, but a little spooky. This one is much more intense, much more in your face, and is a pull from a very spooky game that I played not long ago. This is a track from Outlast, which was the first game that I did in October this month of spookiness. Very scary game. A lot of people refer to it as like the scariest game they've played, and I think depending on what you've played, that's fair. It's depending on what makes you nervous. If you don't like being chased, this is definitely a pretty dang scary game. But I think that in the past I've brought a track from Amnesia, which is a very similar game in its play style, and I would say that this game probably takes a lot of influence from. But in both of those games, there's this kind of like odd situation where the music is absolutely essential to the gameplay, but it's really not like listenable. Like a lot of times it's just like tense ambient strings that are just like drawn out over 2.5 minutes, like very much serving to enhance the mood, but not something you can listen to. But
it is intended to instill fear.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Just like in a horror movie. That's the point. It's to drive that player to be scared, not just by the ambient sounds in their surroundings and also what they're seeing on screen. So, yeah,
to kind of guide you towards tension, basically. Yep. But Outlast, which is exactly like that, when you beat it, the song that I brought is from the end credits. So when you finish the game, this is what plays, and it is simultaneously still a very scary track, still very tense, but also is like freaking a song pulled right out of a like major motion picture. Like this could be in a Marvel movie, and you would believe it. So why don't we go ahead and give a listen to the end credits theme from the Outlast official soundtrack by Samuel LaFlemme. Well, you see what I mean though when you listen to that track, it's like it essentially feels like the credits run on a horror movie or something. It's very I don't know, it's got like a good like bombast to it while still being very tense.
It straight up reminds me of credits rolling on a scary movie and walking out of a movie theater.
Yes,
like that's what it reminds me of. Like you're having that like, okay, I was shocked out of my socks. And now I am walking towards the aisle to leave. I'm dropping my empty containers off in the trash bin, going out into the light, and I'm leaving. But you still hear that in the background.
You and your buddies are all like shouting over each other. What part was the scariest for you when you jumped the most? Everyone is so like amped up on adrenaline that they're just trying to be the one to speak first or speak loudest. I know exactly the mood you're striking, man.
I mean, honestly, it's the end credits theme, so that's awesome that it does have that feeling to it. What I imagine when I hear the music playing, it's like that Michael Myers thing where like she's running away from Michael Myers, you turn around, he's right there, and you keep running, and then somehow he's still right there, just chasing you, like never stopping. I feel like that this song gives that feeling like there's somebody behind you following you, and you cannot stop them from following you and possibly killing you, so it matches the game quite well.
Yeah, very on brand for Outlast, because that is 100% what they're going for. So good stuff. Well, we all brought our tracks. We all brought some good stuff. Hopefully you all enjoyed some spookiness, a little autumn. But Josh, if I'm not mistaken, are we giving one final gift to the people?
Yeah, we are. There's an outro song. I think we should just throw our plugs out there, and then we'll just say goodbye, and then the song will just carry you guys out into the night, into the spooky night for Halloween. And what better for Halloween than the great, fantastic, Double Fine game, Costume Quest. So this is actually a track I almost brought to the show, but I was like, this is actually a really nice closer because it's the credits for the game, and it's kind of a medley of all the songs that are in the game. And think like Danny Elfman, think like Beetlejuice, think like Nightmare Before Christmas. That feeling of song, that is what this like end credits theme is. So I think that'll be perfect to carry us out, and that's composed by Peter McConnell, and it's very expertly done. But before we head out today, how about we just throw a little bit of plugs out, just super quick, and then we'll let you guys just listen to this awesome track. So, Steve, where can people find you online?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitch and Twitter as Blinkoom. That's Blink OOM. M like mighty fine pair of boots in that new artwork.
Thank you.
Yeah, but yeah, come hang out. Come over to the Twitch page. We're doing scary stuff all October. I did Outlast, which we heard music from today, and we did the scariest mini golf game you've ever seen in your life.
Oh my god!
I'm not even going to comment on that. That thing is hot trash.
Because I guess he has no words to match the quality he saw. But Drachma, where can they find you and all of your mini golf loving enthusiasm?
Can find me at Captain Drachma on Twitter. You can find me in the Polymedia Discord, the best place on the internet. And just one quick plug for new Polymedia show that's very in line with what we talked about today. It's called We Got Goosebumps, and it's with our buddies Trav and Dylan, and they talk about, and they're going to be talking about, the entire Goosebumps original series. So please check that out. Yeah. Josh, where can I find you?
I just want to say that show is really good. I listened to the first episode and really enjoyed it. I was a huge Goosebumps fan, Scholastic Book Fair, all that stuff back when I was a kid. So just got me in the nostalgic balls, I guess. And you can follow me on Twitter at Frantic Society. And, this is the main thing I do, but sometimes I talk about horror movies during Halloween times. So we could talk about horror movies over there. But besides that, that's it for the show. Steve, why don't you leave everybody with some spooky but heartwarming, like a really good message before we throw it to this awesome Costume Quest song.
Yeah. So, we're in the spooky time of year. Everyone is, we're playful. We're excited to give ourselves just a little bit of adrenaline to just make ourselves just a little bit uncomfortable, which I think is important. But there's one piece of advice I have to make sure that the entire season goes down smooth for you. And that's, if you find yourself not liking the haunted mini golf game, think again.
God.
There's a new one coming out, right? I think.
Their
Outlast
Wikipedia
Trials
stuff says
or something.
says
like that.
something to that effect. I've heard people say Outlast 3 and like Trials of Outlast. I'm not sure which is which, but
I played this. It was good.
yeah, that's good. It's spooky.
It is spooky. I think that the scarier parts. I'm not a big horror game fan. I wouldn't have played this on my own if I hadn't watched Steve play it.
Mm-hmm.
But like, it's almost the shock factor of this game is crazy. Like when you get your fingers cut off and stuff. Like that's nuts. Like,
Yep.
It's like very RE7, like whenever your arm gets cut off, like at the beginning, like stuff like that. Yeah.
I always think that one thing that I think makes Outlast a little less scary than it could be is I personally always think it's less scary to let me look right at the monster or right at the enemy.
Yeah.
Like in Outlast, you're being chased, and a lot of times you're like hiding and watching them walk around, and sometimes you're like really aware that this is like an enemy in a video game that has been textured. Like I'm very aware of it as just like an element in the game and not just something scary. That's why I over Outlast slightly prefer Amnesia, because in Amnesia it's way less likely you ever actually see the thing chasing you, which I think makes it way more tense.
Right.
Yeah, like the water scene in Amnesia with like the footsteps in the water, like
bro.
I got goosebumps just thinking about it. Yep.
It's one of the things where I don't know if I would say Amnesia is the scariest game ever made, but I would 100% say it was the the most scared I've ever been playing a game.
Yeah.
When I played it was horrifying.
Yeah, very uneasy.
Have you played it, Drachma?
No. I'm a little girl. I cannot play games like that, dude. Really, I can't. I get scared. My wife is actually like all about horror everything, and I'll watch horror movies with her sometimes, but I don't know. It's ever since I was a kid, man. Like I have like an overactive imagination or something. Like I'll just like sit and think about it. Like even like watching. Like I love slashers. I love Nightmare on Elm Street, but watching the first Nightmare on Elm Street to this day, going to bed after that, it gives you an uneasy feeling because it's just not something you can't run from your dreams, right? So there's just certain things that still get me, but yeah, I don't watch like a lot of gore stuff. I've seen a couple of the Saws. I just can't do it. But I've watched plenty of scary movies. Like I don't know. I was freaked out by The Grudge when we were growing up. But
you'll die in 7 days.